Okay, today we will be discussing another important topic, that is various physical environmental variables influencing the livestock productivity. You can see this diagram. It is an ecosystem wherein both abiotic and biotic factors are existing in a particular region or area, or you can say the locality. So wherein there will be so many factors which will be influencing on the productivity of the livestock. This is our main motto of this topic. The first come, what is physical environment? Environment means, if you go with the meaning of the word environment, it's the immediate surrounding. Okay, and if it is a physical immediate surrounding of any animal or area, then it's called as a physical environment. Okay, so we'll be discussing about all those physical environment which exist in and around the animals, which will be influencing the productivity of the dairy cattle, or for that matter any livestock species. But throughout our lecture, we will not be using the word physical environment. Rather, we will be using the word climate, because climate is the subunit of the physical environment. So that's why, since climate is a part of physical environment, here onwards will be using the word climate. But the climate, if you take, it's a basically abiotic part of the bioclimate. So if you go with the broader sense, it's a bioclimate which includes abiotic and biotic. But we are concerned with only the abiotic or physical environment. It's also called as a meteorological parameters. So we all understand that climate of an area is not uniform. It varies with two factors. One is unalterable, another is alterable. What are those unalterable factors? Like latitude, altitude, distribution of land and water, soil, and other contours, or you can say landscape. So why this is important means, since all our country lies or comes under the tropical region. Okay, so what does tropical region mean? The term tropics refers to the a region, a designated region, okay, which exists on either side of the equator, 23.5 degree towards north and 23.5 degree towards the south. On either side of the equator, it is we consider as a what you can say tropical climate. So India also falls under this area, and since our country, okay, falls under this area, and which is not alterable, because all latitude, altitude, everything is fixed. Okay, only the variable factors which will influence the climates are generally winds, rainfall, drainage, and other vegetation. Okay, the interaction of all these factors produces a specific microclimate at a specific locality. So what climate generally includes? Climate is a combination of several elements. Okay, so what we call as a physical variables. The first and foremost important is temperature, followed by humidity. Precipitation is also called as rainfall, air movement or wind, radiation, and barometric pressure. Out of these 6 physical variables, so the temperature and precipitations are going to be a deciding factors for the microclimate, and subsequently to influence the impact on the productivity of the livestock. Okay, so in this chapter, is our main concern is to know what are those physical variables and how to measure it, and the common way to measure all these physical variables. First is air temperature. We also called as environmental temperature. Okay, the simplest method of measuring this air temperature is using the normal temperature, which graduates from 90 degree to 100 degree Fahrenheit. Okay, and this has to be suspended in the air where you want to record it. Suppose if it is within the building or the animal shed, then you need to hang at one corner of the animal shed, so that this will give the actual temperature present inside the shed. Okay, but this should not be exposed to the direct sun rays, then it will not reflect the actual microclimate. So this has to be hanged in such a way that there are no direct radiation falling over this thermometer. So in addition to this simple thermometer, where it gives a temperature at a given time, as and when you record the temperature, it will reflect at that time. But our main motto is to also to know that what was the maximum temperature on a particular day and what was the minimum temperature. Suppose if you take the northern part of India, so during the winter, this temperature may go -8, but we will not be there to record that temperature. At the same time, at any given time during the day hours, it may go maximum temperature like 46, 47. Okay. So in that case, you have to use the maximum and minimum temperature. Okay. So this is the how it looks. Okay. If you see closely, on one side, left side, it is a minimum, other side, maximum. Okay. So this is a mercury, and these are the small iron beads. Okay. So as and when it records the lowest temperature, it will stop here. Okay. As and when it rises above, for the maximum, suppose it goes to 45 degree, then this iron bead will stop here. Okay. So at any given time, if it does not cross more than 45 minutes, that bead will be present here only. Similarly, the lower the temperature, suppose if it is like minus 10, let us assume that. So here it is, that bead will be present. At this moment, you can take that the minimum temperature was 10 degree and the maximum was 25 degree. Okay. So this is how you have to record it. Again, if you want to know for a next day, then use this magnetic, that is a red bar, what we are seeing. Just pull it down. Just pull it down in such a way that this iron bed comes in contact with this mercury. Okay. So this is how this maximum and minimum temperature is being recorded. Next comes humidity. The moment if you say humidity, it is a relative term. Okay. So relative humidity means it's an vapor pressure of an air at a particular temperature, followed by saturation vapor pressure at a particular degree at Fahrenheit or centigrade, whichever you take it, it should be taken as a common unit. Okay, if you are taking degree Fahrenheit, it's a degree Fahrenheit. So this is the ratio. It is also said that it is an amount of moisture present in air at a certain temperature divided by amount of moisture that is in the air that could contain a certain temperature. Okay, so these are the two ratios by which you can calculate the humidity. So in order to calculate the relative humidity, you need to know the dry bulb and wet bulb thermometer. You have to use this one. Okay. So this is the dry bulb. This is a wet bulb. Okay. Again, this has to be angled in such a way that so that air pressure, ambient pressure, should go at the speed of 600 feet per minute. Okay, over the wet cover. For this is like a wet thermometer, wet bulb. See here, you have to put water. There is a muslin cloth. So I'll repeat it. This wet bulb thermometer. This bulb is covered with a clean absorbent muslin or surgical gauze. You are able to see it. This is a muslin cloth. This is a small container wherein you have to pour water. Okay. This muslin is thoroughly wetted with a distilled water, and this has to be exposed. This muslin can has to be exposed at the rate of this 600 feet per minute. Okay. This will give the wet. Okay. So dry means without it. Whatever the temperature is exist in the moisture. Okay, that will give the actual temperature. So basically, so this is the actual one. Okay, this is the saturation one, maximum possible saturation. One can think of. Okay, so this is what, this is the dry bulb at the particular temperature. This followed by saturation point. Or else I'll give this example. Vapor pressure is this one. Okay, and the saturation pressure is this one. So by using this dry and wet bulb thermometer also. By using this one, you can also go for direct calculation using the psychrometric diagram or Moliere chart. Okay, so these are ready reckoner tables are available. If you use these dry and wet bulb measurings, so and it will reflect the relative humidity. This also you can do so. But nowadays the ready-made these instruments are available. The moment if you put it down hang it in the animal shed, so it will give the relative humidity at any given point of time. Okay. Next is wind speed. This is the most simplest one. Okay. So as we tell that in the livestock, 5 to 7 kilometers is the ideal wind speed. Okay. So this can be measured by cup anemometer. Okay. So this is how it looks. 2 to 4 cups are mounted vertically or over the horizontal arms, and the movement of this cup can be measured from the meter attached to this. Okay. So this will. What are the limitation? There is no response at lower speed. Sometimes if it lesser than 2 kilometer per hour or 3 kilometers per hour, it may not rotate. Okay. Once starts spinning, it does not stop very quickly. So it keep on moving when there is a speed is high, and it does not stop when wind stops. Okay. So this measures only the horizontal movement. Okay. In either of the directions. Like if it in the horizontal movement, it's fine, but any other direction, it does not help in recording the air movement. The rainfall, it's simplest one. It's a precipitation of drop of water that have a diagram larger than the 0.5 mm. Okay, which is measured by mainly two type of instrument. One is the recording by rain gauge. It's the simplest one. Okay, rain is collected in the receiver, like what you can see. Change the level of indicator which is attached at a cylinder that rotate one time in 24 hours. Means suppose you are kept at 6 o'clock in the morning, next 6 o'clock you just take out this one and pour it in a separate container to get the actual moment. Non-recurring type of rain gauge means the rain collected in a receiver, pour in a measuring gas cylinder and measure the rainfall. This has to be done manually. Here it is an automatic system. Okay, so nowadays small portable this weather forecasting instruments are available, which can be fixed either in the university office or you can say in the office building, wherever you like. So that will give the automatic measurement of all these 5 parameters. So, sunshine. So although it is not so important with respect to livestock, but you might have seen these instruments. Okay, this is generally used in the shootings. Okay, so wherein they record the sunshine using this photometer. Okay, the most conventional method is sunshine hour recorder. Okay, this particular instrument, what happens, sun rays pass through a glass of sphere, which is in turn connected to a calibrated, you can see in the bottom, okay, paper. When sun ship will be present, it will burn the paper. Okay, so this you can see the burning. This is a rays, it's burning the paper. Okay, so thereby it indicates the quantity of sunshine present depending upon the burning area. Okay, so this not only gives the sunshine is present or not, but also it gives how long that sunshine was present. Okay, so this is conventional, but still it's a valid instrument. Next is photometer, which gives the visible spectrum of the solar. This is a ready reckoner, or you can say the platform instrument wherein it records then and there. Okay, so these are the 5 physical environmental variables which we discussed so far. So after understanding these 5 physical variables, we need to understand these words like climate and weather. Okay, so we'll be using these words very frequently, but better to have a clarity here itself, so that in the near future you will not get confused with these terminologies. The climate refers to a pattern, okay, of a particular region for a longer period. Suppose climate of, let us take India. So it may be for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, like a long period. Okay, short weather means it's a short term. It may be day to day meteorological parameter. What was the wind speed? What was the sunshine? What was the rainfall? Day to day we call it as the weather, and over the years we call it as a climate. So I'll repeat it. The climate is nothing but an environmental pattern of a particular region over a long period. Weather means it is a environmental pattern of a particular region or a space for a shorter period. Okay, so generally this climate is affected by latitude and altitude. Since we are talking about larger area and for a longer duration, so this latitude and altitude which generally not altered. Okay, so this is affected. That's why I told you that you can say climate of India, you can say climate of Bangladesh, or you can say country wise. But generally weather, you don't say weather of India. Okay, you will say weather of Bareilly, weather of Bangalore, or like it's a small area. Okay, so which is generally weather is affected by temperature, air pressure, and moisture. So this climate is forecasted by taking the collective weather reports over a long period, whereas this weather is forecasted by using the meteorological data. That's what we call as a weather forecasting station. Okay, so this is day-to-day recordings. So here we also will try to define the 2 terms, the macroclimate and microclimate. Macroclimate means of the larger area. So we are not much concerned because nothing is in our hand. Whereas microclimate, it is the climate which is present within the building, okay, which is generally affected by small factors, so which we are going to manipulate, or which we are going to change for the sake of the animals, or to keep the animals in the comfort position. So why we have to understand these physical variables? Because these animals, what we are going to keep for our self-interest, okay, they are generally homeotherms. All these domestic animals are homeotherms. That means they attempt to maintain their body temperature within the range of more suitable for optimal biological activity. Okay, so in order to do this, we must preserve the thermal balance between their heat production or gain from the environment and their heat loss to the environment. So what I mean to say is that the moment you keep the animal or livestock well within the building, okay, and in that building already you know that what is the microclimate. Okay, but by keeping such animals, there is a possibility of heat exchange. If there is no animals, means within that building microclimate will remain constant. The moment if you keep the animal, then there is a process called heat exchange. Because of animal presence within the building, there is a heat exchange. Okay, since these animals are homeotherms, that's why it is our main concern is that how this heat exchange takes place. The most common method of heat exchange are conduction, that is through direct contact, convection through the liquid, radiation through the rays. If you see the same thing well within the building, okay, so this is the animal. Okay. So if you see the first and simplest method of heat exchange is conduction by contact. So this is the foot and this is the floor. Okay, that is a conduction. Next is through contact, but through water. Okay, that's what you get convection. Okay, convection means through water. So as and when you provide the sprinklers, foggers, misters, so that heat of dissipation will be through water which you are going to sprinkle over the animal. Okay, either in the form of foggers, mister. So that is a convection. Conduction is by contact surface. Okay, convection is through liquid which you are going to provide through the sprinklers, foggers, and misters. Okay. Last one is that is evaporation either through the skin or through the respiration. Okay. Radiation either directly from the sun rays over the animal or by the rays which are falling on the floor, again reflecting back on the animal. So these are the three modes by which there is a continuous exchange of heat well within the building. So this is what I wanted to show with the help of this diagram. So animal on its own try to be on the comfort zone. Okay, what is comfort zone? It is the temperature zone in which no demand are made on the temperature regulating mechanism. But this will never happen. Okay, in the given situation, this comfort zone is very, very difficult to achieve. Okay, all the time this tropical climate, the temperature highly variable. So that's why. So animal will try to spend little more energy to maintain the thermoneutral zone. Okay, so here you can see this is a thermoneutral. So here animal is trying to put little more energy or by gaining or by dissipating. So it will try to maintain this thermoneutral zone. For the sake of exam as well as for the sake of understanding, so you need to remember the comfort zone. It is -30 to 60 degree Fahrenheit or -1 to 16 degrees centigrade for all the temperate breeds, 50 to 80 degree Fahrenheit or 10 to 27 degree for the trapping. This is the comfort zone, which generally not possible. However, so whenever this temperature goes behind this 60 degree Fahrenheit or 80 degree Fahrenheit in case of cyclone, then these thermoregulation mechanism will get activated. Till then, there is no energy is being spent. Okay, so behind this one, animal will try to spend extra energy to maintain the thermoneutral zone. Even if it goes behind this, so if the ambient temperature rises above 80 degree, in case of temperate breed, okay, which is supposed to be 80 degree, and 95 degree, which is supposed to be 80 degree, okay, in case of tropical climate, then these thermoregulative mechanisms begin to fail. Okay, so there your intervention is very, very important. That's why I told you all the time your motto is to bring this 80 degree Fahrenheit to 60 degree Fahrenheit in case of temperate, 95 degree Fahrenheit to 80 degree Fahrenheit in case of tropical climate. Okay, so now well within the building, we don't know, it's not possible to measure each and everything. Okay, so first we need to take all these physical variables into consideration, and you have to come to the conclusion whether these animals are undergoing any stress or not, for which there is index called thermohumidity index, which we'll be discussing. Okay, first you try to assess this stress condition well within the building. Next, you try to go for some ameliorative measures. Okay, so this is a THI index. Okay, so you can very well see it here. Mild means below 72. This is a THI index. Okay, below 72 there is no stress. Okay, but 72 up to 79, there is a mild stress. Okay, from 80 to 89 there is a medium. So behind it is a severe. That's what I told you, where this thermoregulation mechanism fails. Okay, so that's what I have given with the help of this expression. If less than 72 means cows are likely to begin expressing heat stress. Okay, when it goes more than 72. So more than 72 means seriously affected. More than 82 means there is a significant loss in the production. You can very well. So altogether, our main motto is to overcome the stress by different ways and means through which this heat dissipation will take place. Okay, so either they can be done by cooling the microclimate, okay, through misters, high pressure foggers, or evaporative cooling pads, or else enhancing the natural mechanism of heat loss through sprinklers, fan, or sprayers, okay, and cooling parts, okay. Additionally, we can also provide shades which can be natural in the form of trees or in the form of infrastructure, okay. So in these chapters, mainly we have covered different physical variables, how to measure and how to take care of this heat stress by virtue of these physical variables.